I'm just laughing over the mental image I'm getting of Marco Rubio sitting on Mark Wayne Mullins' shoulders, wandering the White House right now, checking all the corners and the light fixtures, wondering if someone's recording them. And why would they be doing that? Because the most secure room in the entire United States government is the Situation Room, that windowless bunker where the government has planned wars, decides who lives and dies, and of course, from recent reporting, planned how they were going to respond to the Epstein files. And now the Trump regime thinks somebody has bugged that very room. And then they think that somebody has leaked the tapes to a reporter. And the reason that they are so certain that it has to have been bugged is that the things that they said in that room were so unbelievably damning, they can't picture how it got out any other way. So look, you've got New York Times reporters Maggie Haberman and Jonathan Swan. They've got a book coming out. It's called Regime Change. And every time they release an excerpt from this book, it lands like a mortar round within the Trump camp. The accounts of what was said inside this Situation Room are so detailed, so specific, that the White House is reportedly spiraling into a full meltdown. Top aides are convinced that their own colleagues are secretly recording them, secretly recording sensitive meetings and handing the audio directly to the press. They are not asking who lied to a reporter. They're asking who has the tapes. And no one trusts anyone. I absolutely love this. But what don't I love? The reason they're panicking. Because that makes the hair on my neck stand up. Look, we've already heard about that Epstein PR crisis meeting, but another one of the things that this book lays out is that Trump's Deputy Chief of Staff, Stephen Miller, the closest thing we've ever seen to an actual demon walking the earth, pushed to suspend habeas corpus. And yes, I know for some of you that sounds like Latin homework. So habeas corpus, it's the rule that says the government can't just grab you, can't just throw you in a cell and keep you there. It has to bring you in front of a judge and justify it. It's the single thing that stands between a country with laws and a country where you can disappear. And that law is older than the United States. And naturally, after harming cute baby animals, at least that's what I picture him doing. I'm not saying he actually did that. Stephen Miller wanted to turn off habeas corpus so that the administration could deport people faster without all of those pesky courts getting in the way. Miller even went out and told reporters, in his own words, it was an option that they were actively looking at. And that whether they did it depends on the courts doing the right thing. Translated, give us the rulings we want, or we are going to cancel your right to a hearing. And yes, Stephen Miller was actually evil enough to say all of that in public.
Well, the Constitution is clear, and that, of course, is the supreme law of the land, that the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus can be suspended in a time of invasion. So I would say that's an option we're actively looking at. Look, a lot of it depends on whether the courts do the right thing or not.
But the person who stopped him wasn't a Democrat. It wasn't a judge. It was Trump's own White House lawyer, a guy named Will Scharf. This guy wrote a private memo basically saying, we can't do this. The Constitution says only Congress can suspend habeas, and we will lose in court. Good, right? I mean, he was warning them they were going to stop. Except Scharf added one line. He wrote that this current Supreme Court is, quote, likely more amenable to revisiting these questions than any Supreme Court in living memory. I'm going to repeat that this current Supreme Court is likely more amenable to revisiting these questions than any Supreme Court in living memory. Trump's own lawyer saying that the only reason not to try suspending a foundational civil right now is the paperwork. Because the Trump-loving Supreme Court might actually let them get away with it. By the way, the same book says that Miller and JD Vance also pushed to invoke the Insurrection Act. You know, the thing that would allow them to put the active military on the streets against protesters. Sounds awfully familiar. They've been feeling out exactly how much of the Constitution that Donald Trump and his goons can switch off before someone finally makes him stop. And I'm going to tell you, even with these things, they still found end arounds. They unleashed ICE on communities instead of troops. They still are deporting people to random ass places or hauling them off to horrific conditions and leaving them there for an indefinite period of time, even though they committed no real crimes. And if you think any of this is theoretical, look what Donald Trump is doing out in the open. While his West Wing is busy sweeping the Situation Room for bugs, Donald Trump has sicked the DOJ on Gavin Newsom. Donald Trump has called him Newscom and said that the fraud investigation of California has begun. And in turn, Newsom said federal agents showed up. They're knocking on the doors of his friends and former employees, demanding records, abusing the grand jury process, not because they found a crime, but because they are simply trying to find one. And what is Gavin Newsom's sin? Thinking about running for president. And that right there puts him on a hit list that already includes James Comey, Letitia James, Adam Schiff, a whole Rolodex of people who've simply crossed Donald Trump and now have the full weight of the federal government on their tail for all of their trouble.
So let me say it again. Mr. President, come after me. I'm not going anywhere. And the country is watching.
Newsom's response, for the record, was to call Trump a deranged habitual liar with a shriveled little brain. And then he told him to bring it on, which, yeah, that's accurate. It's correct. Donald Trump is a man so paranoid that he thinks his own bunker is wired, his staff is floating canceling habeas corpus and putting troops on protesters in private, and yet openly is weaponizing the DOJ against his rivals. So yes, we're learning more about what's going on in the Situation Room, but the cruelty isn't hidden there. Half of it is out on Truth Social with a thank you for your attention to this matter. Do me a favor, make sure you share this story so that the algorithm gets the hint. Stories like this matter, and you guys need to see it.